Yeah, cool. All right, just bear with me a sec.
No problem. Hello, I think we've got an N Wheeler. Is that correct? Doesn't show your first names, unfortunately. So those of you who arrived, we'll wait a bit longer, but if you've obviously got any questions, I guess the best thing to do is to put them in the chat area, and then I guess I can read them out, and then obviously people can feed back, and then obviously I can try and help with my 2 pennies worth, so to speak. So we'll wait a bit longer for people, but if people feel comfortable obviously putting stuff in the chat, then please feel free. Great. So does anyone want to start off?
Hello, sorry, I'm Nikki on the NW.
Hello, Nikki. How are we?
Settings coming up on my computer, so that's why I haven't typed anything yet.
That's okay.
But yeah, so do you mind if I just say it, I guess?
Of course, yeah.
We currently do DT design technology GCSE with Pearson's, and it's just awful for our learners. So we wanted to go over to 3D, which we are doing. My concern is I have a lot of girls that want to do potentially, especially with the TV, film and stage element, possibly something to do with fabric in textiles. Would that be possible? Because I've heard mixed.
So I think it depends. It depends what you would describe as a textile outcome. I mean, I guess you could use textiles as part of a 3D piece, but obviously they do deliver the textile design. And when you have a look at the breakdown of the options, there isn't anywhere that actually pinpoints textile design. There's like exhibition space, theatre design, but then I think you'd then be blurring the line between sort of textiles and I mean, so are you thinking about offering that as a whole subject across DT, and then
so we only have
areas?
So we're very boy heavy in the group, and there'll be 2 teachers teaching it, and we can't really separate the 2 and offer ideally what I'd like to do is take one lot out to do the art textiles. The problem we also have is because obviously we're in the DT department, whereas the art guys, they just purely do fine art. So it's an option for the girls to go over there really to do it. So that's why the kind of DT's always been textiles. So hence why they've kind of stayed our way. A lot of them want to go into do the interior design route, or they want to do the station screen one. So the kind of way that I've played it to them is that they could potentially use some fabric if it was in conjunction with, say, more of a structural form, in terms of, if they use timber, for example, or jewelry, like, body adornment, that might be quite interesting, which kind of piques their interest. So we do have a body adornment as one of our first projects. So we're going to be using PMC and kind of get some metal work going in there, some timber, so it's really free. I
So
think
is-
they'll like it, but I worry about the freedom of it.
So is the
Sometimes.
problem that you don't have enough students to offer two separate specifications?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see. Yeah. I mean, I think what I
Because there
would
was a
maybe
question
think.
mark to do the art, craft and design, which would have been a bit better.
Yes.
But then again, because we've got only 2 teachers teaching it, we can't, split it. There's so many things that the kids want to do. It'd be unfair to kind of push them one way or the other.
I personally think the art, craft and design would probably be more suited, because then there isn't a fixed outcome.
Yeah.
So I know one of my colleagues in the faculty, he teaches the art and design and craft, and they have multiple outcomes. They work with timbers, textiles, plastics, although it's not as refined as I would say, more of a DT approach in terms of 3D design. There is obviously a wider range of outcomes. The other option is to hello Jack. The other option is to probably maybe explore the jewelry option. And I think the best thing would probably be to call your advisor, your local, because if you're doing the same specification as the art department, they should have a senior a subject advisor.
Okay.
And I think the best thing to do would be to contact them directly by email and just put forward what you are obviously trying to deliver, and then hopefully they should be able to clear up whether that's possible.
Sorry about the background noise. They're leaving.
That's okay.
Sitting in the focus room right now. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I will do that then. I kind of, my gut's going with the whole art craft movement. I think that potentially would be better. So and the kids don't know any different.
Exactly.
As far as they're concerned, it's the same thing that they got the same options, but is what they have to produce at the end of it is slightly. They have to do 2, don't they? 2 projects. Is that right?
Yeah. So normally there's are you looking at the AQA specification, or are you looking at? Yeah. So it's normally two projects. There's the component 1, which is they're called the personal study or personal investigation. And then there's the external exam unit, which is obviously based around a range of questions. Well, not say questions, I would say categories. And then obviously students interpret those as they wish.
Cool. Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem. I'm pleased I was able to help.
Thank you very much.
And nice to meet you. Does anyone else want to? Sorry, go on. Sorry.
That's it. No, to say take care.
Cheers. Right. Does anyone else want to drop in and ask any more questions, or is there any more in the chat? Oh, I've got yes. Hello, Jack. How are we?
Yeah, it's actually Dave again from the other call, but so I've got Jack with me as well. So there's 2 of us. So we've done it the first time this year. Started it. So we're currently running the OCR GCSE for we've got one group in year 10 going into year 11 doing that, and we've got one group doing the 3D. So Jack's currently doing the OCR DT, and I'm doing the 3D. So this is our first year of doing it. So really, I saw this and I just thought I'd jump on and try and get any advice, really, because I'm kind of essentially making it up as I go along in some respects. Just kind of seeing what sticks and what works and just adapting to it. So because I'm currently running the graphics now through the art as well. So we started that the year before. So I'm feeling a bit more confident with this year's year 10s now, having done it last year. So I know that obviously that'll improve, and we'll get more confident as we're delivering it. But yeah, it was just some suggestions really of kind of like of projects to do, because I started off doing a bit of a furniture project, but we have quite small groups. So we've got like groups of about 10 or 12. I think we're going to have another 2 groups next year now, both doing 3D. Okay. So I started off doing a furniture project, but then obviously lockdown happened again. So there wasn't anything. I was struggling to find things to do for them practically while they were out. So we've come back in, and I'd actually just adapted this project that we were doing, like a handheld gaming device. So we still make it quite techy, because we try to run it as DT, but obviously the head of art, she sometimes sees it as a little bit. She's like, well, that's quite techy. That's not what she's used to. So I guess my question is, like, how techy can you make it? You know.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it's a good question, and I often get this. So I think the first thing is completely eradicate electronics.
Yes.
There is no point in trying to embrace systems and control under the 3D specification. It won't get recognized at all. The second thing to be very mindful of is obviously complex construction techniques. And, although, if you've got a student, say, to do a nice dovetail, although that can still be used in the making of furniture, I wouldn't, expect a student to be spending ages on that, because really that's not going to be picked up. I would really focus on form over function. And, at the end of the day, mostly DT teachers are moving into an art realm, and a lot of the moderators will be from an art background, and they are very much aesthetic driven rather than obviously function driven. The second thing I think you need to ask yourself is what do you guys value? If you value stuff as a DT department, is it, do you want to just make sure your students can make and design? And I think really it's about, giving yourself that opportunity to, run something that you've always wanted to do by taking out all of the unnecessary sort of paperwork.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's what's kind of drawn me to the course anyway. Like, I much prefer them to be able to express themselves creatively. I mean, like you say, we've kind of got rid of a lot of the technical side of it, but I think there's a kind of this in terms of like technical drawings. So, doing like orthographic drawings and things like that. I know obviously that's not essential, but from an aesthetic point of view, that still actually looks quite nice on the design sheet.
Of course. So I think in terms of techniques and processes, the more techniques and processes that you can deliver, the more marks they will get. And at the end of the day, if your course is obviously based around design, technology, structure, then what makes up DT is obviously design communication. So, for example, I try and get all of my students to, present their design ideas in orthographic, perspective, isometric, thick and thin line, rendering. They are all skills that are relevant to my course. So, all of those things are really important. One of the things I would say is obviously the emphasis really, the difference between the DT and the art spec is what I've always realized is that, DT is very much designed for perceived need. And, it's all about identifying a problem. It's about solving a problem, creating something new. Within the art spec, that isn't necessary. All of that, identifying a market research questionnaires really isn't going to evolve your project. What the art side are looking for is the ability for students to base their work off past or present design. So, for example, when I set up my courses, I start off by looking at, modernism. I look at Bauhaus, and then I evaluate the techniques and processes and, design philosophy around those design movements. That then feeds into the practical element of my courses and introducing students to the materials and maybe the techniques that that those design movements are used. And then obviously the project evolves from there, then they can then develop those skills. But it's really about basing them on past or present design and, making sure that students investigate the works of others through sort of practical elements. And I think that is what, for me, is so inspiring, is that, we can look at the past 250 years and we're never going to get bored, because if I get bored of a certain design movement, I can just bring something else in and that can form the basis of my, part of my course. And again, for me, I want to try and get students off to Brunel, Loughborough. I want them to be able to make, I want them to be able to use a variety of materials. So, I really try and base my projects around timber, metal, plastics, and sort of prototyping. So again, it can be a very much of a DT based course, as long as the students have opportunity for experimentation. And actually what you might find is that, especially when you're teaching the graphics courses, you have that time, because you don't have the exam. You have that time for the students to explore and make. And really, for me, my students are much better makers and designers than they've ever been through DT, because they've had the time to develop those skills, rather than me saying, right, you've got, one lesson to do this, and trying to get all of this content in, which isn't really helping them develop themselves as designers. So yeah, just making sure that you are referring to past and present design is fundamental.
Yeah, cool. That's brilliant, because that kind of, and that was my concern when we were doing this handheld gaming project. Because it was basically just something to do to fill a bit of time in lockdown, but actually it's turned into something quite interesting with prototyping, making foam modeling. But we've looked into ergonomics a little bit, but not tried to go too heavy on it. So you think that's okay? Because like I said, my concern is not making it too techy, but still making it creative and that experimentation in it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I do a sort of styrofoam based prototyping project, all using styrofoam, and we look at ergonomics and anthropometrics, but it's based around the sort of study of sort of more organic sort of designers. So as long as there's a link to, somebody or a movement, then you can do whatever you want, and whether that's a piece of furniture, whether that's a piece of lighting, whether that's a product, whether that's an architectural model, whether that, all of those sort of what I call them design principles can fit an art and design approach, but obviously having that DT sort of mindset.
Cool. No, that's brilliant. You've put my mind at ease. No, cheers. I feel like we're going in the right direction anyway.
Oh, great. I'm pleased I was able to help. Great. Anyone else want to chip in? Anyone else got any questions? If you want to, there's quite a few of you joining, so I don't know if people want to start putting questions in the chat at all, and then we can go through them, or if people are just happy to sort of be more organic, then obviously feel free.
Hi, Ben. Can you?
Hello, Pat.
Hi, you hear me, can't you? Yeah.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
And nice to meet you too. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sitting in my makerspace. Well, in classroom, I call it a makerspace, because I'm a really big believer in that. When I joined the school, we came into 3D part of it, and I came from an engineering background, but I really love it. So what we're doing at the moment is I'm going, as you can see that, hopefully, I have to hold something dark behind it.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I picked up over lockdown. I thought, what can we do? So I thought, my background's cabinet maker. So we started making scale size 12 furniture. I tell you, that really took off, and I wish I'd have done that from the day one, sort of thing like that. We done that, and we done jewelry.
Okay, very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so we based it on sea life and everything like that, and the students have come, and there's only a lads group, and at first we were like, will they do it? And they jumped onto that, But like you said, I found the hardest thing is get them to influence of something that you have design wise and everything like that. I think that's the biggest problem I was having. Getting them, saying, look at something and use that for your influence.
Yes.
So what's your best way to get them really hooked onto it?
So for me, is I will start every project with a specific investigation. And I won't even talk about designing. I won't even talk about outcome. Mm-hmm. So for all of my sort of material projects, so I break them up into material areas. Yeah. I would say, right, okay, for the first 2-3 weeks, we are just doing this. We are just looking at, so for example, one of the first projects I do in lower six is a vertical horizontal structure based around the principles of Distill and the Right-Feld chair. Yeah. So before we're even making anything, I will get them just to do some very simple line drawings based on horizontal. Then I will turn that into some very simple cubes using that same method. and then I will get them to actually make a joint. So I'll get them to do a lap joint, and then I'll get them to do I think it's a mortise and tenon, which is I think for the handle or the handrest. Sorry. So they're exploring those techniques that are relevant to that design movement, and then I say, right, okay, now go and design a piece of furniture, because you have the skills that are based around this, and you have to apply those skills and the principles of your design work to what you've learned.
Yeah, that sounds good. You know, I'm going to give that a whirl then, because that sounds a really good way of doing it. Because what I've done is I picked myself up. I found this. You know, I was really like this. Like there's like a book. Yeah, it's just these chairs on the front of it, and I was absolutely mesmerized when actually one of my kids, one of my own kids, found that. So it's got them, and on the reverse of it.
Okay, nice.
It's got all the details down to it. And I tell you one thing, that was really one of the goals for finders, because it's got in there tables, product design, you know, storage things, lighting. And I used it with the lighting one, and that worked really well, you know, sort of thing, like as like a hands-on, you know, for them to get an idea from it first and all that sort of thing like that.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Yeah, I mean, I think the problem I've always struggled with is storage. You know, it's like,
well, see, that's the biggest problem I have. I have not got a cupboard in my room at all.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I have not got a cupboard. So if I just do that here for a second, you can see.
Well, big space, though.
Big space, yeah. Big space. I do engineering in here as well. I've got my maker space in here. So our plastic recycling that we do and all that sort of thing like that. You know, but I've actually got no cupboard space. So everything's out, you know, like everything even behind me on shelf, it's all out. So I have to really, you know, I started putting things into like boxes. You know, this year's year 10s, I've got shoe boxes. That's where we went jewelry. But I'm going to go with size 12 furniture now. So I've cleared some shelves for that. But that's definitely what I'm going to do. What you said, the design movement first. Only look at that and not tell them what we're going to do first, you know.
Yeah. I think
the sketching part has been the hardest one to get him to sketch, because they all say, well, I can't sketch. That's why I took product and didn't take, you know, fine art and graphics, which I fully understand. But I said, you have to get your idea over. The quick sketching, that's something I found worked quite well.
Yes, yeah. And just trying to get them to do simple forms and stuff like that.
Yeah, forms, and every form has to change as you go along with it. That's why I really found helped quite well.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, 1 second. I'm just trying to get people in. So just bear with me a minute. Yeah, I think just sort of introducing them to techniques and processes that, you know, you want them to learn, and then say, right, okay, you've got the little skills that I want you to learn. Now apply that to anything. And I think that's, you know, then whatever they design from, there should be a link, and I think that's the most important thing. And whether that at the end of the journey it doesn't look anything like the original bit of research, it doesn't matter, because we know that the ideas, you know, we know that the ideas have obviously, you know, been based around that. So
yeah, this year's year 10s, we worked on. I gave them all like a wooden disc first, or 2 wooden discs, and they had to give one a really good finish to it, and the other one they had to really distort, you know, sort of thing like that, with carvings and stuff like that. And that's done, and then we gave them a piece of metal to do the same with, you know, and then we've done some paper modeling, and now they're on to the next part. We're doing well, we said to them there had to be some, like, say, body decor, you know, sort of jewelry type thing, and they come up with some really interesting things we got there, you know. They're going to start that now, you know. We're going to see where it goes to from there.
Yeah, okay, you know, that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good. Anyone else want to chip in? I'm trying to get a few people in. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Difficult. I'm in now, having restarted Teams, but no sound. Okay. I think there's a bit of technical issues at other ends. So
I think
let's just carry on.
Yeah, well, that's why I set up that, you know, on Facebook, the 3D product design group. When I set that up, because that was when I first was introduced to it, because I came obviously from a DT background into it, and was just literally Oh, we do 3D. We do 3D product design at school. At this school, they got me here for engineering, and I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. And then I was done that. I was going, well, it's completely different, the art-based one, but I prefer the art-based one because it gives you more freedom with it.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree. Yeah. I mean, I think we could definitely. It's very difficult for me because I've only been in the art design route now for 4 years. 15 years teaching DT, and it's like I feel like I'm sort of I'm with like a different woman, so to speak. Like I'm cheating, but I think deep down, it's the right way, and I think we can definitely learn.
Can I bring something into that when you say about that? And I hope not DT teachers are not going to slate me for this now, because I'm a cabinet maker by trade. But not at one point when I designed a piece of furniture or done anything did I think about the material first. I looked at, what's the influence going to be? What does the customer want me to do? What's it going to look like? And then I went, I can make that material do that. There's one way or another. Like we done steam bending, the one that you liked. When we said we're going to make that, and we just made the steam bender, we made it work. And also loads of research went into it. So it's the DT route of research went into for the A-level student when he done it. Sort of thing like that. Looking at how what sort of timbers you can bend, look at timber properties and all that sort of thing like that.
Yeah, it's so open, and you can explore anything. And I think that's there's longevity in the course. There's longevity because I know that probably not, in the next couple of years, they're going to get a bit bored with Distill and Bauhaus, but, I could then go and look at something else next year, and I could revamp the course and obviously redevelop it. Great.
Well, I done a steampunk game controller. That's what I done for one of them, for one of the 11 classes that we done as a mini project. And that worked really well. We had game controllers covered in leather with gears on and everything like that. So that it goes quite well. And I don't think with a normal DT course could you do that.
No, exactly. Yeah. I think it gives you that, definitely gives you that freedom.
It really gives that freedom, yeah.
Right, I'm quite wary that we're getting on a bit already. I've got another session I've got a CPD session with somebody at 4, so as long as I sort of clock off about 10:02, that's fine. But does anyone else want to have any questions? I mean, I'm thinking we should definitely try and do this again as a whole collective. But for now, has anyone else got any questions?
Will we stay in that group? Will we?
Yeah. So once you're I think once you're in. So I guess we could.
Okay, because I have to see how I add to my Teams group so it stays in there. Because I had to go in by the web browser, sort of thing like that. But that'd be a good one, But tell people as well if you don't use that Facebook group just to join that. There's loads of teachers on there.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I originally set up that art and design one, which I gave it up because I wanted to leave Facebook. But now I've come back again.
See, I wanted to leave it, but I found that was the only open platform that you can use. Open, but still make it closed, because I had to, I've got one for plastics recycling in school and stuff like that. And I had to make sure, because I didn't want students to join it then and stuff like that,
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have a look in the chat to see whether there's any other questions.
Okay, thanks anyway, Ben. I'm going to turn my camera off now so you can jump back over with people. Thanks.
Cheers. Well, nice to meet you finally.
Nice to meet you as well, Ben. Cheers.
Take care. Okay, so Jay Norton has got, I would like to ask about GCSE A-level transition. Jay, fire away.
Hi, can I just check if you can hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, yeah.
Good. I don't know why my webcam's decided to stop working now, but anyway, we're a school, fairly traditional DT department, and I'm looking to start doing the A-level on 3D design. We'll be sticking with the GCSE, the EdXL GCSE at DT. I just wondered if you had any insights, or anyone else had any thoughts or comments about how to sort of, how effective or how to manage that transition from a DT GCSE into A-level 3D design.
Does everyone mind if I just start? I think, I think for me is, I work in a college, so I've got students coming in from lots of different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Some of my students will obviously come from an art background. Some of them might not have even stepped in a workshop. So for me, I just start everybody from scratch. And not to be rude about GCSE, but obviously I have taught GCSE. There are certain skills that some students may have picked up that I don't want them to recreate on my A-level course. Yeah. So I try and say, right, let's just completely wipe the slate clean and start again. And I'd be very honest, what I have had to do in my sort of marketing of my course is to say, you know, an understanding of the working properties of woods, metals and plastics are essential. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that students need to have done DT, but what I have found is those students who haven't done DT is that lack of confidence in the workshop. And without that confidence, they can't progress. So, you know, I don't mind whether, you know, they've spent, you know, 5 hours or a couple of weekends in their granddad's garage using a saw, and he's taught them how to make. I think that's a lot more valuable to me. I will admit that I do struggle to engage those students who haven't done DT within my course because it is an unfamiliar environment. But that is just because of my course is quite heavy on the making, and it does, you know, I am trying to develop those practical skills. But I think really, sorry, go on.
So that's really helpful. That's exactly, I mean, that's more or less what I was thinking, but it's good to hear someone else say that. And do you take students on who've done art at GCSE?
Yes. Right. And yeah, it's difficult because, you know, some of those students who do art, they do come with a much more of a refined design communication style. Mm-hmm. They often are a lot better at, you know, sticking in or evidencing the design journey into their sketchbooks. But I do find that in terms of making, as I said earlier, you know, the DT students just are much more comfortable, and from the go they're already quite far ahead, because some students haven't even used a glue gun, you know. And it's like, I don't want to have to take stuff right back to the basics and teach you how to use a craft knife at A level, but you know, and it's quite interesting already. Like I was seeing today, you know, having to try and teach some of those students be able to hold it straight, and you know, making sure the blade's straight, and all of those skills are so necessary to the quality of what they're doing. So you know, I do really try and encourage those from you know, an art background to develop those core skills. But I guess it's trying to get them to pick up marks elsewhere. But it also depends on what the ethos is of your course. And for me, it's trying to get students to university, and you know, having those design and making skills is really important, because I don't want them to go to university to Loughborough or Brunel and they can't actually make anything. So you know, it all depends on what you're trying to get them to do, really.
That's great. Thanks very much.
No props. Right, I think we've got about 10 minutes left. So if anyone else wants to jump in at all. We've got a couple of, let's just go back to the, oh, it's gone a bit slow. Hello, Max. Hello, how are we?
Hiya, it's not Max, it's my son's. I couldn't log into anything else, I had to log into my son's Teams account.
It's CTAL, isn't it? Is it CTAL?
Yes.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Thank you. Yeah, we've had it. I've done a session with you before. I was wondering, you know, you gave me loads of great advice when I had a chat with you before about the kind of the year 12 thing, and you gave some great PowerPoints. I'm still sort of a little bit struggling of kind of what kind of projects I should be doing and what kind of route to be following. I mean, I've got a loose idea that obviously, having seen a lot of your stuff and like looking at kind of the architecture and furniture stuff is kind of the route that we want to go with. I've been doing the 3D design GCSE, and this is our first year at doing it as A level, only because our school as well we're just introducing A level for the first year anyway. But yeah,
Yeah.
just some sort of like, because in those groups, on the Facebook groups and stuff, people have stuff, but it's so hard to kind of put together a plan of kind of what to teach and what order to teach things in. And like what you were just saying now about going back to the basics and teaching the skills, that's definitely, but I just still don't know kind of what kind of projects to do and what direction to follow, really.
I think going in a direction that you're most comfortable. You know, at the end of the day, I chose to teach this subject because I like kids. I like the subject. So what is it that, you know, is your passion? You know, what is your design background? You know, what is it that makes you passionate? And I think at the end of the day, if that's transferred through your lessons, then the kids are going to make much more progress.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, start off with something that you've maybe done before or slightly adapt. And I think another thing is try not to pot too many materials together. So what I do is I split them up into material areas, and I just focus on timbers, I just focus on metal, and then I just focus on plastics. And then hopefully that gives them a variety of skills. And then in year 2, as they become more confident, they can then merge them together. I think I chose modernism and Bauhaus just because it's one of the first sort of design movements that looks a bit more funky, rather than like Art Nouveau and, you know, the sort of predecessors of modernism. So for me, I went right. I sort of looked at that and said, right, okay, well, this is sort of the first design movement after this time period that's sort of interesting to me. And then I used that design movement as a basis for my first project. I mean, you could do anything, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, like I did that with my GCSE stuff this year. I've got quite an interest in sort of like sets and props and stuff like that. So that's what that's the route we went to with my GCSE stuff, and that's sort of the GCSE plan. But like also it's talking to some of the kids that I know that are taking it and where they want to go in terms of a direction of kind of like architecture. Because I mean, we did have a bit of a difficulty. I mean, I don't know how big our numbers are going to be yet, but like some students obviously kind of have an architecture kind of idea in mind that's what they want to do. And you know, it's going to be a small group because I said first time doing it in the school, we haven't got massive numbers. I've only had one year 11 group anyway. That I thought I kind of tailor it a little bit towards them as well about what they want to do. So yeah, we're thinking like basically the architecture, furniture, storage kind of group.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
But yes, thank you. I'll
no problem.
Cheers.
Take care. Nice to see you again. Right, we've probably got about 10 more minutes. So if anyone wants to who have we got here? Anyone else? Okay, we've got a few in the chat. We've got a few here. Okay, thanks for comments, Ben. Some things I considered, but certainly other aspects to really work on going forward. Cool. Any others? Anyone got any more questions? I mean, it'd be nice to try and do this again sometime. Okay, Katie. I do a sculpture park project. Students can design the visitor centre or sculptures within the park. Their final piece is SketchUp layout and a model of this. Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, I think you know, having a variety of outcomes is good. Yeah, you could show. Yeah, this allows variety and control within the lesson. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could show. It could be more than one outcome, couldn't it? It could be multiple outcomes, I guess. You know, it could be the layout of the park, and then it could be the individual elements that go inside it. So yeah, lots of options there. Right. We got another question. I'm DT Terrain. Is that Cheryl? Hello, Cheryl. I'm DT Terrain. This is my first year GCSE. So I'm fun on my feet. Is it okay just to take it with a DT theme? Exactly. Yeah, of course. You know, I think the only thing, as I said to the others, is systems and control completely out the window. You know, don't, you know, even if you've got a poor guy who's made the whole circuit and he's etched his PCB, unfortunately, you know, you're going to be moderated by art teachers, and they're not going to be able to see what's underneath that piece. And, you know, however many days or months they've spent making this amazing circuit, they're just not going to get marks. The same for, you know, sort of complex construction techniques. I mean, I do teach, you know, I teach some wood joints, and also teach some welding and some brazing. But again, I think with the, especially with the exam, you know, with the 15 hours, trying to make anything of complexity is quite difficult. So, you know, let the laser cutter and if you've got a CNC machine, let them be your friend, because they're gonna make your life a bit easier during the exam. But yeah, I mean, I think end of the day for me is, what I would probably suggest is do exactly what you're doing, but strip out the first 3 weeks where you're just getting students to sit in front of the computer and create unnecessary research and questionnaires and design briefs. Take all that out and substitute that with research, but based on designers, and then get them straight in the workshop, because, you know, that's what they want to do. They don't want to sit in front of a computer for 3 weeks before they'd even touched a pencil. And I'm sure a lot of us would agree that, you know, that's what, you know, that is what obviously we enjoy, is obviously getting students to make design through playing and through the experimentation of materials. And for me, unless the DT specification embraces that, I'm not going back. Excellent. Right. Should we just one more, and then I think we should call it a day. But I'm more than happy to do these again, and I think, you know, it's great how many people have come on today, and I think you know, it's about supporting everybody. I don't have the right answers, and I'm sure as a collective we can obviously support each other. So if people are happy to do this again at another time, then, you know, I'm happy to do that. So should we have one more, and then I think we call it a day, if there's anybody happy to ask one more question. I know there was a few people who were struggling to get in. No, I think that's it. Okay. Okay, let's call that a day then, I guess. Well, nice to meet you all. And as I said, maybe we should do this again. I'll put a link up. I have recorded this, so hopefully I can put this up for the rest of the community. And yeah, onwards and upwards. Nice to meet you all. Take care. Hopefully speak soon. Bye.